Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the iHeartRadio network, the number one network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports have been voted the number one sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos and Cinco de Mayo to all of our listeners in Latin America. Thank you so much for following the Big C Sports Show on the iHeartRadio network, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Thank you for following the Big C Sports Show. Also, them good old boys up in Canada. There's a lot of things happening in Canada. The CFL is about to kick off pretty soon. We have the NHL. They're all celebrating moonshine parties up in Canada, Big C. And we also have Major League Baseball. They're throwing the ball around. But, you know, they all are waiting for this one special occasion. I think they wait to hear the Big C national anthem. So on a 1 and a 2 and a 3, oh, Canada, our home and native land. I think they all wait for that, Big C, more than all the other sports. But you know, it's them good old boys down south that I love. How's everything going for you good old boys in the land of the free and the home of the brave, Big C? What's going on with you good old boys? Yeah. Yeah.
143,000 people showing up.
Wow. Wow.
It's just an average outdoor party.
Yeah, and that's amazing because them good old boys down south, you know, they get around for a 2-minute race. They spend more time preparing for a 2-minute race. It's almost like marriage in California. People spend more time on the wedding than they do planning the marriage. So I just think that's funny. But them good old boys, hopefully they'll have a great showing. Even though the weather might be a little bit nasty, I do want to say that this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. And, of course, Big C, yours is the one with all that mud that you good old boys have. And they're going to be showcasing more mud at the Kentucky Derby. Are you saying that even the horses are following Big C Sports, Big C? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. You know, today is a great Cinco de Mayo. We want to celebrate that with all of our Mexican-American friends in Mexico, how they defeated the French in the Battle of Pueblo in 1862. And even though the Mexicans won, Donald Trump says he does not celebrate Cinco de Mayo unless they're coming down to clean his golf course. Does that make any sense, Big C? No. Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever he says is the alternative, whatever he does.
Yeah.
He's been saying that he doesn't celebrate Cinco de Mayo. He probably has a bowl of chips and sauce.
He's always doing something with eating. I see that waistline is also growing. They said Pinocchio, when you lie, your nose grows. That's Pinocchio. I think when Donald Trump lies, his waistline is growing. Have you noticed how big he's getting, Big C?
Trump and also the hair in the back of his head is growing because he has under the top. Cover up stuff.
Yeah.
You would think that a grown man wouldn't be so vain, especially as leader for the world. He's more, concerned about his cosmetics
Yeah.
than he is about, passing policy that would benefit Americans.
Yeah.
Here they are, the House, goes after this frivolous act and trying to repeal Obamacare. I love what they say about Obamacare, talking about Obamacare employment.
Yeah.
If Donald Trump really wanted to cure Obamacare, all he has to do is regulate the insurance companies.
Yeah.
About not regulating the insurance companies, allow the insurance companies to do what they want, and that's what Congress feel. We have a Republican-led Congress, okay?
Yeah.
Did not put a regulation on the insurance companies in
Yeah.
America,
Yeah.
and that's what allowed them to pull out of the Affordable Care Act and deny Americans coverage. It's not Obamacare. It's the insurance carriers we're talking
Yeah.
It's about regulating and demanding for insurance companies, if you don't operate in all 50 states, that you can't operate in any state.
Yeah, and you know.
It has to be the business of Congress and the White House.
Yeah.
Is that you have to mandate that insurance carriers, if you operate in one state, you have to operate in all 50 to allow Americans the coverage. It's not Obamacare. It's what Congress will not force the insurance carriers to do.
And that's a very good thing, Big C. You know, with President Obama, we all had everybody complaining about how we're going to make it right. Like the first version of it is the only president in the history of the United States that ever passed health care for everybody. Them good old boys up in Canada, the reason I sing, "Oh, Canada," so much is because they at least take care of their people. You can go to Canada and get health care just because they care about their people more than their profits. I do want to thank one of our listeners. Her name is Linda Pauls. She's actually out of the ATL down in Atlanta, Georgia. She follows Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network. She's also into the modeling industry, so a lot of good-looking women are starting to find the sexy voice of Big C Sports. So sexy, Big C. I don't know if they like my voice or your voice. I'm just going to assume it's yours since you have more baritone in your voice, Big C. It wasn't about your voice that all these models want to follow our style, Big C. Yeah. Yeah, it's all good.
And we've always appreciated our female listeners.
Oh, yeah.
Because we understand the intelligence that they possess.
Yeah.
And they want better insight as far as what they're getting in sports and politics, other than just that lame person reading a teleprompter and a notepad in front of it. So you have to follow, Big C Sports, Charles, to have a greater understanding of what the world represents from the land of sports.
Yeah.
It's a great honor to us.
Yeah.
And, even though they might be as cute as you, I think
Hey, well, I do appreciate that. But one of the things that I do appreciate as far as compliments, when people say anything about, they always want to know, well, who is Big C? And you guys are bold. You guys aren't afraid of anybody. No, we're afraid of people. It's just we're not afraid of telling the truth because, like they say, the truth shall set you free. I heard a good old boy on the radio station up here in Northern California. They primarily do basketball for the NBA. But they were running down some other sports too, and they can't touch politics because they don't know, and they can't read fast enough to make the change, Big C. But good old boy dropped his notes, and he was trying to go down the hockey, the NHL, and he said, "Hold on, I dropped my notes. Let me see who I think is going to win." Does that make any sense? You would think you would know something about the business other than just reading, but that goes to show what you said. A lot of these good old boys all over the country, if they turn off the teleprompter and the producer went on vacation, or maybe had too much moonshine the day before and called in sick, these good old boys wouldn't know what to say, Big C. That's one thing that a lot of people tell me they appreciate about the Big C Sports Show. But I want to ask you a question, too. Going into the world of all the things that are happening in the world of sports, and we're going into this great holiday weekend. You think about Cinco de Mayo, holiday weekend. I want to say something good about the NBA. Portland Trailblazers. They get these bonuses for making the playoffs. Them good old boys, because they got swept by Golden State, they gave their bonus to the team staff. Now, that's not a lot of money because it's only $16,000, but a lot of people would take $16,000. But they did give it to the team staff as opposed to keeping it in the ashtray of their Escalades, Big C. Your thoughts on the Portland Trailblazers, Big C?
Well, Charles, when you want to talk about pure class in professional athletics, that personifies it, okay? But these players are millionaires.
Yeah.
And not all of them are millionaires because some of them make under $1 million.
Right.
But to think about what the staff makes and what the staff has to endure. The staff travels with the team, Charles, and the staff handles all the team's affairs on a day-to-day basis. And for them to show that type of generosity to just the layman person who they don't have to, Charlton,
yeah,
that shows class and character. Because we've heard too much from the talking heads about the character of the African-American athlete. Okay?
Yeah.
We've heard that in the NFL draft. We hear that all the time. Is that, the young kid that was drafted by the Raiders, Conley,
yeah,
the defensive back, talking about, well, they shouldn't pay him because he has a character issue. The young man, Nixon, that was drafted by Cincinnati out of you shouldn't pay him, you shouldn't draft him because he has character issues. Character issue is an individual who's talking about somebody else's character, Charlton.
Yeah.
Stand in this man's face and tell him he has a character issue.
Yeah.
Don't hide behind the cowardice of the mic.
Yeah.
Because when you look at these players from the Portland Trailblazers, there's 15 players on the roster. I guarantee 11 to 12 of them are African American.
Oh, yeah. And they,
so,
yeah.
about where they lack character, okay? You may blast these African-American athletes up and down through the media, and that's who blasts them, just like blasting Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
You blasted this man for being a quality African-American, for doing something above and beyond to help those who were less fortunate.
Yeah.
The same with the Portland Trailblazer players, Jonathan. They are doing something above and beyond to help someone within the organization who is not making the amount of money that they're making.
Big C, that's a very good point.
Are they looking for some kudos for this? No, Jonathan. This is something they did from their heart.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's something you never replace in athletics is heart.
Yeah.
So anyone who ever questions the character and sincereness of an African-American athlete is stupid. Okay?
Yeah.
Because they do these things. Show me how many white athletes, owners or whatever, say, okay, we're going to give all our bonuses out to the staff.
Yeah, and a lot of times, I just want to bring that up because it's probably not going to make too much of a national news. You know, you hear about things that happen in certain conferences out here and all around the world of sports. So I do want to commend them good old boys. There's one, his name is Lillard, Damian Lillard. He's also a rapper. He's actually out of Oakland, wears the number 0 on his jersey, but he says it's the number O because it represents, you know, the city of Oakland where he grew up. So again, congratulations to all them good old boys up in Oregon for having a heart for the people that actually, you know, make things possible for you. Also, I want to just touch base. NHL, we had Nashville Elite in St. Louis 3-1, and that game, you know, that series might be closed out tonight. The Washington Wizards last night, I don't know if I saw what they call an MMA contest or a basketball contest with them good old boys for the Celtics. Big C, that fight reminded me of how I think it was Larry Bird and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar where they went at each other back in the day when they were playing in their NBA finals. Your thoughts on this type of basketball, even though it's exciting, it's not really good for the sport. Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, I don't know if it's not good for the sports, Charles. Physicality is a part of all sports, okay? And to shy away from it, yes, the basketball players have become a lot more athletic and graceful over the years. But from time to time, you have to go out and set a precedent standard, okay?
Yeah.
We're not going to be pushed around anymore. You know, you pass out 8 technical fouls last night at the game, okay? Tied an NBA record for a playoff game with 8 technical fouls.
Yeah.
But Charlton, you know, even more withstanding, the league will come down with some fines. Hopefully, they won't suspend anybody like the stupidity they did with Draymond Green last year, costing the Warriors a potential championship. But, you know, this is what you have to do from time to time as a player. I mean, it used to be that way. When you think about the bad boys,
oh, yeah.
When they used to beat the crap out of Michael Jordan before he realized he needed to put on some weight.
And that was before the game. That's before the game, for what I understand, Big C.
And, you know, this went on all the time in the 70s and 80s in the NBA, Charlton. Yes, it was always been a graceful game, but it was even more physical back then. You know, but now, you know, everybody wants to look at just the athleticism, and they've gotten away from the dominant game. This is why we don't see big men in the game anymore, Johnson. We don't see the 7-footers sitting down in the paint. They all want to sit out on the wing and shoot 3-point shots.
Yeah.
So the game has changed and it's evolved. But to have a little physicality in basketball, to have some technical fouls, that keeps the fans in the game, Johnson. And you see what happened with Washington last night. They went home, they got physical, and they beat up on Boston.
Yeah, they manned up, Big C. I think the audience should know that you're more in favor of being physical, because when you play ball, you guys have to hit people all the time too, and that before kickoff. So I understand you kind of understand them good old boys last night that were getting down there on the basketball. Yeah. Yeah.
That was just the first down.
Yeah.
What you did, Jonathan, is that you served intimidation.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what you did, and that's what the Wizards did last night. They served up a little bit of intimidation.
Yeah.
And you have to do that sometime in sports. You know, and old time guys know what I'm talking about. Punk, okay?
Yeah.
And everybody else is not looking at that in a negative light.
Right.
Athletes say that to each other.
Yeah.
Punk.
Yeah.
Okay? And so when you do that bit of intimidation that you've laid out makes that guy question himself.
Yeah.
Does he want to come into the lane again? Does he want to challenge you again? But it does make him slow down his game. It puts him in another thought process. And you saw that with Washington dominating the game
Yeah, and they really got their crowd involved in the game. And see, a lot of good old boys, even for the young players, if you're going to have, there's a reality that it's one and done. I mean, if you don't win this series, you go home, you go fishing, as the good old boys on TNT say. I think Bartley, Kennedy, Jet Smith, and Shaq and Ernie, they talk about going fishing. Well, if you don't win this game, you go fishing. So while I do admire the fact that guys stand up for each other, I do think there's also a bias on players, because could you imagine if Shaquille O'Neal, who was probably fouled as much as anybody, Big C, and we know that good old boy Kareem was fouled a lot too, but he was too tall to really feel it too much. And then Wilt Chamberlain, how often they were fouled and hit and knocked around. Imagine Shaq, 300 pounds, getting upset at somebody and charging them. I think he did beat up Charles Barkley one time, but a lot of people did that in the back of the day. See? Could you imagine if the players were big like Shaq, they would say it's more serious to maybe kick players out of the game, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, you know, we had a series like that years ago. You were probably still wearing diapers.
I'm still wearing diapers, Big C. All that moonshine you gave me. You never know when it's going to kick in. It's a laxative, bro.
And the Portland Trailblazers back when Bill Walton was playing, and Darryl Dawkins and Caldwell Jones with the Sixers, along with Dr. J and McGinnis.
Yeah.
They broke out of the fight. Maurice Lucas and Darryl Dawkins went at it. Jeff Beaker was on the team who later became the general manager of Portland. But they had one of those fisticuffs that broke out during the NBA championship.
Yeah.
Players swung in air.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they can't hit each other.
Well, Big C.
They understand that they're not there to hurt themselves, Charlton.
Yeah.
It looks good. It looks good.
Yeah.
But, that physicality that played out back in those eras, Charlton, when Portland won the NBA title.
Yeah.
When they had Walton at center. You saw a little bit of that last night with the Wizards. They haven't been a tough team like that since Wes Unseld played center for them, man. They challenged the Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh, you going back in the day. Yeah. Yeah.
When Kareem was Lou Alcindor.
Yeah.
And the Bucks won their only NBA title. But, you need that. It's like with hockey. You think if you went to a hockey game and there wasn't a fight, you would feel ripped off.
You would have thought you would have at an NBA game or something.
But you really want somebody to break out into a fight.
Yeah. That's funny, Big Z. And speaking of something about fighting, before I get into a little bit of some more NBA action, I just want to take a political stance here, because you were just talking about President Trump saying he needed a victory. Okay, they won by one vote with their own team, with their own party by one vote. And the same good old boys that said they voted for it because he was going to choke them or put out some pictures in the paper that no one knows exist. Okay, they say it probably won't pass the Senate, but they voted for it just to keep whatever he has hanging over them, if you understand my point, Big Z, from not being released to the public, Big Z. Yeah.
The House is up for midterm elections, okay?
Yeah.
That's what the House is up for. So the House, these Republicans not wanting to lose their seats in the midterm election voted for Trump.
Yeah.
Voted for this repeal of Obamacare. But Americans need to understand, you're repealing what? They have never told you what you're repealing.
Even the good old boy said he said he did not read the whole thing. The congressman on TV or the senator said, I didn't read the whole thing, but it looks good from what my staff told me. Isn't that some garbage? They're going to lose, at least 4 million people are going to lose their health care immediately, Big C, if the Senate's dumb enough to pass it. I don't think they're going to pass it, but it's just grandstanding and it's foolish. The good old boy said he didn't read it, but his staff told him that it's a good bill to pass. Does that make any sense, Big C?
Well, Charlton, it's like, and everybody understands this. Say you're changing homes, whether you're moving from an apartment to a house or a house to an apartment, you're changing.
Yeah.
You don't leave the place that you're in without having a place to go to. You just don't pack up and say, okay, now what am I going to do?
Yeah.
That's basically what the repealing of Obamacare is. Is that they're talking about closing up shop and don't have an answer. You think about it for 7 damn years.
Yeah.
7 years you talked about you're going to repeal and replace Obamacare.
Yeah.
With what? It didn't take President Obama 7 years to put Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, in place.
No.
It didn't take it that long. But for 7 years, the Republicans have run their mouth. And this is all your constituents out there, all you people that keep saying, give the guy a chance. 7 years.
Yeah.
The Senate and the Congress have had an house.
Yeah.
And he hasn't put anything in place.
No.
So if they can't put anything in place in 7 years, what do you think they can do in 7 months? 7 years of stupidity, 7 months of intelligence, it doesn't equate, Joe.
Well, Bixie, it doesn't equate, but when you say it, and this is not me, this is just a media pundit saying that most people that voted for Donald Trump are ignorant, are intellectually vapid. That means they don't read for your good old boys down south. And all that means is that if they're too dumb to understand, they should not trust a man who won't even show his tax returns for several years, almost a decade. If the same good old boy they're going to trust has said, I do at the wedding, what do you call it, the wedding fountain or wedding, where do people get married? At the chapel, Bixie? Okay, so he's always promised, till death do you part, the 3 women or 4, but I understand number 5 is on the way too, Big C. But they trust that good old boy. How many women would marry a man that's been married 4 times already? Just some thought when he says trust me. Your thoughts, Big C? Well, hold on. You think he made Melania Trump that he loves and vowed to love and honor and cherish and obey? You think he made her sign a prenup? Is that what you're trying to say, Big C? That's funny. Well, anyway, like they say, all's fair in love and war. And I'll get back to the NBA on the great LeBron James averaging 29 points a game in the playoffs. He's totally a dominant player. I know that down in the road of history, there might be another athlete they put in that jersey for the NBA. And I think if you look at LeBron James, people say, is he better than Michael Jordan? Well, I say yes. If you line him up side by side, he's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster. He never had the coaching that the good old boy Michael Jordan had. And I just think that he's still going strong. He's not slowing down. Michael Jordan was great. But no one can argue if you played them one-on-one, LeBron's size alone would have dominated Jordan, Big C. And Michael had a lot of ego, although we know Michael's ego was really big. But LeBron James didn't have a Scottie Pippen through any of his championships, even though he had Dwayne Wade and he had Jesus Shuttlesworth, Ray Allen. And I love this name, Jesus Shuttlesworth, more than Ray Allen, by the way. But if you think about it, if you spotted these 2 players and you did not know that Jordan had all the history behind him, just in the imposing size of LeBron James, you would pick LeBron James, and no one can argue he's a much better philanthropist. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, physically, LeBron has been the most dominant player that plays his position of all time, Charles.
Yeah.
Michael was a phenom. Michael came along when SportsCenter came along, and
yeah.
people got a chance to see a lot of highlights of Michael. I think changing the NBA logo would be a travesty because Jerry West is such an icon. It's like changing the NFL logo and not saying NFL anymore.
Yeah.
There's only one person that you could change that insignia for that it would mean anything, Jonathan, and that would be Kareem. Because you look at Jerry's signature move in dribbling the basketball. Okay, only Kareem has a signature look.
Yeah.
That's like Jerry West, where that sky hook
yeah.
is unparalleled, and you know who it is if you had to identify a player.
Yeah.
But when you just take some other figure, whether it's LeBron or whether it's Michael, he looks like a basketball player dribbling a basketball or dunking a basketball.
Yeah.
That's all you're going to get. But when you take Darius West's motion that he was so signature with throughout his career,
yeah.
playing at West Virginia in college and moving on to the Lakers in the NBA and having that storybook career winning championship.
Yeah.
There with Wilt Chamberlain, Gail Goodrich, Happy Harrison. And not only that, when you think about the players that he played with in his career, such Hall of Famers like Elgin Baylor.
Yeah.
Elgin Baylor is still the 3rd all-time leading scorer in a playoff.
Wow.
You think about the era that Elgin played in the 60s and 70s with the Lakers.
Yeah.
He still has the 3rd highest point production in a playoff game.
Yeah.
So, he played with such great people, Charlton. Wilt Chamberlain, for a long time was NBA's all-time leading scorer, playing with the great Jerry West. But the only person you could change that insignia for would be Kareem. But leave it as it is. The moniker that is Jerry West should live in infamy in the NBA. But, when you talk about LeBron,
yeah.
There's no parallel to LeBron. Right now he's the number 2 all-time scorer in playoff history, Charlton. He's only played 14 seasons.
Yeah.
Okay? Kareem did it in 20.
Yeah.
LeBron's done it in 14. So if LeBron continues to extend his career, he's going to surpass every record out there, even Kareem's scoring mark.
Yeah.
He'll supplant that. But LeBron has earned every accolade that he has gotten. We have players each year, Charlton voted the MVP of the league. Okay?
Yeah.
LeBron is just the best player in the league, period.
Yeah.
You can have MVPs, but he's just the best player. You can't, there's not enough monikers out there to recognize this man. You know, he can be the best in the universe, he can be the best in the league, he can be the best in the playoffs. Whatever label you want to give him.
Well, Big C,
the best player.
Big C, you just call it, and we're going to say it first before SportsCenter plagiarizes this. LeBron James, he's the number one player in the universe, according to Big C and the good old boys down south and worldwide, Big C. I just think what he does on the court is only surpassed by what he does off the court, because I think he spent about $41 million of his own dollars. $41 million, that's a lot of money to help other kids that are poor going to college. That's the great thing about LeBron James, Big C. And I don't know if a lot of people can do that. I mean, obviously, his money is big, and a lot of other people, corporations have big money. The people who pay his salary have big money, Big C, but no one has the kind of heart to write a check. I mean, you're talking about Bill Gates, that type of territory. Yeah. Yeah.
I was always questioned by the white media.
Yeah.
We don't hear the black media questioning the character of a black athlete. I don't hear the white media questioning the character of a white athlete. You know, Jay Cutler just signed with Fox Sports to become a broadcaster.
Yeah.
He looked like he needed Adderall every time.
Yeah.
No one questioned his character and his lack of leadership.
Yeah.
For 11 years, he made millions of dollars throwing interceptions in the NFL.
He had five. I think yeah. Go ahead, Z. Go ahead.
But what type of character did he have? You look at him on the side.
Stealing money.
Looked like he was a half a blink from passing out.
Yeah.
That's what he looked like. He had no motivation.
No.
So as an athlete, when you lack motivation and intensity in your eyes, that means you lack character.
Yeah.
And Jay Cutler lacked character in the NFL for 11 years. So if he was this lackadaisical and uncaring in his play and in his press conferences, how the hell is he going to keep me interested in watching a football game that he's broadcasting?
Well, Big C, that's a great point, and they put him in with Charles Davis, who's actually great and was on the networks for the NFL draft. They made the black guy look better, putting this guy who's listless and sleepy in the broadcast booth with him, and he'll probably last longer than Davis, Big Z, because it's not based on talent. A lot of just based on skin color. And for all you good boys that think I'm wrong, the NFL is about 75% black, but most of the broadcasters are Caucasian. That's about 65%, okay? So when the black guys retire, they have a job. Whether it's Tony Romo or Cutler, they have a job. But that the African Americans who make the league what it is, they oftentimes are marginalized in whatever they get. Yeah.
You just mentioned two of them that just went right from the taking a check to get into the broadcast.
Yeah.
I guess they were taking a check.
Yeah.
Right to the playoff booth, okay?
Yeah.
Between Tony Romo and Jay Cutler last year, what they win?
But was it 2 games? Was it 2 games, Big C?
These are the best extras you can find to explain between them last season, Charlton.
Yeah.
They're the best extras you can find to explain to everybody else why somebody else is not having success or why somebody's having success.
Let me ask.
It's going to be a 2-game winner.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, what network hired him, Big C?
Well, you got CBS and Fox, Charlton.
Okay. Well, we know one of these networks, they gave O'Reilly $25 million for sexually assaulting women. Okay. Okay. So it just goes to show. I know Tony Romo's he replaced Phil Simms, CBS.
You got CBS.
Yeah.
Who put on Billy Payne for blasting Tiger Woods with basically racial epithets.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Same.
So you got two networks that advocate racism when they're talking about certain athletes and people, and then you're going to pay the guys who won 2 damn games
Yeah.
to explain everybody else the good and bad about football.
That's funny. I do want to say that sports is a $1 billion industry. And boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry, which every athletic event needs athletic and event insurance. That's when you tweet out to Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network. We go through Ben and Mark Insurance. They've been around half a century, and we get you covered not only in all 50 states, but we can even get you covered in Latin America. Big C, they have what's called kidnapping insurance for a lot of people down in Mexico, because sometimes crime can be difficult. And if you got money, people take it from you. They don't go through the court system. They just take it, okay? So we got you covered for that also. But I do want to say we can cover professional athletes, collegiate athletes, your high school players, even your mom and pop soccer teams. Get you covered through Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network. So Big C, as we get back into a few things, you always open my mind to something. And I just want to go back to Cutler again. And I want to go back to Romo. And I'm being all serious in this because we're told experience matters. But this year is a little bit different. A lot of just weird things are happening so far in 2016 and 17. If you look at Donald Trump's family, you look at his daughter Ivanka, she was at this global summit for women in power. She's the only one who was not an elected official. It's almost the cronyism and the nepotism that got her position. The entire thing with the entire Trump family, none of them were elected in the office. We know that Trump got in because of Russia's help, and we all know that's a fact, okay? And his daughter is going around speaking on his behalf, and she's not even elected by the people. She's bought into her position, Big C. That's illegal, but it's happening anyway, and the good old boys say nothing about it. Your thoughts?
Well, that shows you how the direction of the United States has gone, Charles, where people are sitting around, and if he makes it a year as a president, it'll still be into that second year where you got to give the guy a chance.
No, they're deeper into Russia right now. He's not going to make it through the year, Big C.
I'm just saying, as far as all the people who voted for him, who keep, and all they got to do is say that they're racist.
Yeah.
They don't have to say that, give a guy a chance and he's a businessman. America's not a business. America's a corporation.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
A multifaceted corporation with many entities involved in it to make it run smoothly.
Yeah.
But when you look at the policies that he has passed, Charlton, in the first 100 days.
Yeah.
Damn, I can't think.
I think he passed one. He passed gas, from what I understand, in the White House. That's the only thing he's passed, Big C. Because everything else, people are like, they're swapping away like flies, Big C. Except for the people.
How many executive orders can you sign? An executive order, Charlton, is like you writing a check and canceling it, okay?
Yeah.
Same thing. Everybody at home has written a check and ended up putting a stop on one here or there.
Yeah.
That's what an executive order is. There's nothing that backs it through the House, through the Senate, through Congress. It's just you signing a piece of paper for a photo op.
Yeah, well.
They're meaningless.
Well,
That's what they all are, because they're not laws. They're just executive orders. You're going out there putting your name on as many pieces of paper that you want.
Yeah.
Just like having your name on a bunch of buildings saying, I signed this. But I asked the American public who voted for Donald Trump, how many of these executive orders in his first 100 days has helped change your life?
Nothing.
Has helped put money in your pocket? Has helped, lower your bills? This is what you have to ask of your president. What has he done to benefit you? How would the wall, building it in Mexico, and he keeps talking about this border wall, how would it benefit Americans? No one looked at the economics of how it would benefit Americans, even in repealing Obamacare, because you cannot replace it.
No.
You can repeal it, but you can't replace it. That's the thing to understand. What insurance carriers are going to come in now and say, okay, we're going to give you all this insurance that would not cover you before? No one asked the pertinent question, Charlton. They just have this racist mindset that because this insurance is named black insurance,
Yeah.
is that they don't want it.
Yeah, that's true, Big C. And you know what's interesting about that, too? I was having a conversation with someone just recently at a conference. We were talking about sports and politics, which everybody does nowadays. I wonder where that came from. But everybody does that since you've been doing it, Big C. And even Charles Barkley, one of the greatest athletes ever in the NBA, is doing a segment on race. I think it's coming up sometimes during or after the playoffs are done. But I was asking her a question about, we were talking about sexism in the media, and we're talking about sexism in sports and how to keep boys from hurting girls. And I told her my opinion as an African-American man. Imagine if Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was going around grabbing white girls by the vagina and bragging about it. You think he would have had that speech on Washington? You think he would have had the support of the media? No, he would not have. Do you think of President Obama, when he was out stumping, you think he was bragging about grabbing white women by the vagina, that they would have given him the same support in the media that they gave Donald Trump? And she looked at me like, well, I don't know why. I said, because he's a white male. It's called white male privilege by the media. Any man that does sexual offensive behavior and still gets the support by the American media and still gets voted into office predominantly by the same people that he's offended, Big C, that's only because of what Tim Wise said about race and his right. And outside of Big C Sports, people are so afraid to talk about the truth when it comes to race. No black kid, not one, could walk through any playground or any school or every person in corporate America and start grabbing white women by the vagina and bragging about it and still have a job. They had to fire him the same day. Donald Trump got elected president. Now, if he were black, all these people who voted for him, they know they would have tried to castrate him. Big C, your thoughts, and that's where they're not honest.
Well, Charlton, let me give you a parallel, to Donald Trump's, claims of what he was doing, which were fact. Joe Mixon, who was just drafted out of Cincinnati Bengals, a young running back out of the University of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Who committed an offense back when he was 18 years old as a freshman in college.
Yeah.
Against another person who had committed an offense against him.
Yeah.
How many times have we heard this play out over the last 3 to 4 years, okay?
Yeah.
How many times have people questioned his character and how he should not be able to advance to the NFL to get money? How many women will be offended by him? How many teams will take a backlash by this young man who did an offense? The punishment for it, Charlton, got suspended from school for a year, from the football team. Went to college, but was suspended from the football team. How many times has this played out in the white media, okay?
Yeah.
Donald Trump Joe Mixon never stood up and bragged about he hit this woman.
No.
He was apologetic for it.
Yeah.
Donald Trump admitted that he was grabbing women by the vagina.
Yeah.
How many times have we heard this play since then? How many times has anyone technically had the balls to come out and say this about Donald Trump, that he grabs women by the vagina, other than us, Charlton?
Nobody.
No one has said this, but they have lambasted Joel Mixon.
Yeah.
The rookie running back out of Oklahoma, drafted in the second round by the Cincinnati Bengals. Everybody has made him America's #1 criminal.
Yeah.
For doing an incident. Donald Trump said that this was his modus operandi.
Yeah.
That he would walk up and grab women in the crotch anytime he wanted, pop a Tic Tac in his mouth and stick his tongue down their throat.
Yeah.
No one is talking about this in the media. Why is Joe Mixon such a heinous criminal and Donald Trump is getting a pass for repeated sexual misconduct against women? Joe Mixon had one unfortunate incident, an incident that no one is bragging about, okay?
Correct. That's right.
Unfortunate incident. Donald Trump said, this is what I do all the time.
Yeah.
Right? And I would even do it to my daughter if she wasn't my daughter. But it's okay with the white media to say Donald Trump's a good guy for doing it. Joe Mixon's a criminal and shouldn't get paid, but yet you're paying Donald Trump to be president.
Well, Big C, that's a very sane conversation I have. Actually, it was a Caucasian woman that I was talking to that travels around the country speaking about sexual assault. And I just told her, if you're going to be honest to people, talk about the president first. You got to bring the president with you, or at least bring up his name. If not, people are going to say you're a liar and a hypocrite, you're wasting your time. Now, if you're talking to dumb people who are just ignorant, you can tell them anything. You can tell them the earth is flat and they'll believe you because they're ignorant, okay? For women who are assaulted every 20 seconds in the United States of America, the land of the free, the home of the brave, most of these assaults happen by white men because they do it with impunity. They're the majority of the population. You got to look at that number. If they do it and they get away with it because they can write a check, that's not keeping white girls safe. I mean, if there's an issue that's happening back in Washington, D.C., and it's more poignant than people even think about. There's hundreds of black girls going missing. No one really knows what's happening. There's not a big story in the news about it. One white girl goes missing, it makes the news for 7 days. But there's hundreds of black girls that have gone missing in the last couple of years in the Washington, D.C. area. And I was reading about it, but not much on the nightly news about it. One white kid goes missing, it makes the news for 7 days. And that shows our cultural bias in media. That's real talk, because we got to keep women safe. You can get it on Big C Sports more than any place else, even more than CNN. They're not going to tell you that more than a day or two. Big C, your thoughts? Yeah.
Okay, as parents, you're letting your 17-year-old go to a foreign country.
That's stupid.
Lack of care as a parent. You know, at least send her with
an adult.
A chaperone.
Yeah.
But you sending her off with other 17-year-olds, she was going missing. This made national coverage, Charlton, for months, not 7 days, several months.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm not, knocking the loss of someone's child.
No.
But, to have this unfair precedent about these type of scenarios, there was just a young girl that was rescued out of South Carolina that ran off with her teacher.
Yeah.
Okay? And she was there willingly because you could see them walking in stores on the camera. She wasn't asking for help. And it went all the way to California. And this was a month-long affair that was going on. He was eventually captured and rescued, but, this was an all-out manhunt for a young white girl.
Yeah.
Okay? And we've seen this many times, Charlton, and it's based on economics. I remember 2 to 3 years ago in Cleveland.
Yeah.
When this man had kidnapped several Hispanic girls, had them captured in a house, chained up like animals and stuff.
Wow.
Had a couple of bodies that they found in the yard, Charlton, but they were young Hispanic girls, okay? But no one cared. They weren't white girls that were missing, all right?
Yeah.
And he even fathered a couple of children, Charlton, of these young girls that he had kidnapped and raped. But, it's the precedent, and the white media does this, Charlton, and granted, they give us all a platform.
Yeah.
They own everything.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking them for owning things. But you have to be fair in what you represent.
Yeah.
And what you expose to the public. You can't sit here and say that this race of people are much better than the other race of people because we're hiding their crimes, just like you're hiding the crime of the president. But yet you're pasting Joel Mixon on the cover of a news story on television and in print.
Well,
He's the poster boy for being bad, but the president committing a sexual crime is okay, and we'll just cover it up by not talking about it.
And that's what I mentioned to this lady who travels all over the country speaking to schools about how to keep girls safe. And I said, you got to put out the president first, because in certain elements of white society, sexual assault is okay. I mean, they tacitly consent to it because they say nothing about it. If you don't believe that's true, we talk to a lot of fraternities and sororities, especially in the college campuses where they all go to the sports games, okay? And this is so poignant because you're not going to hear it anywhere else. Sexual assault happens as much with sororities, girls that are being given, they get them liquored up, and they brag about it. These are mostly white fraternities and sororities, okay? I know because that's who I'm talking to. And they get these girls liquored up, and they take advantage of them. They do what's called a trump now. There's a new word called, can I give you a trump? Okay, that means grab your vagina. And even when these women are drunk, they get assaulted, okay? But it's a crime that goes by and it's not punished because it's just like Donald Trump. They made it okay to assault girls. So as long as I have the chance to speak about it, I'm going to say there's never any reason to let anyone get away with that. And the president will never speak up about it, but you can hear about it on Big C Sports. Big C, as we touch a little bit more on what's happening in the world of baseball, the Baltimore series continued last night with Manny Machado crushing a home run over the Green Monster. I don't know why they call it the Green Monster. They should call it the Green Mile. It's about a mile high, Big C. But your thought on that series, they put so much emphasis on that series when there's a lot of other good baseball happening around the country. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I think a lot of it came, Charlton, from the violence that ensued, players being thrown at and, the challenging of both dugouts coming out.
Yeah.
But, when you look at Manny Machado, he's a grown man hitting the baseball, Charlton. I mean, right now the tracks that he's laying around the diamond are just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a player hit balls like that since Jose Cinco and Dave Kingman. Dave Kingman, a lot of people don't remember Dave. His name was King Kong.
Yeah.
Started his career with the San Francisco Giants, went on and played with the Mets and the Cubs. But, he was about 6'6", 210 pounds, and could just crush a baseball. But I'm watching this with Manny Machado, and he's hitting with vigor right now. With attitude, as you want to call an athlete, he has an attitude right now. But, last night, I went to the bathroom, got a sandwich, came back before he got to home plate.
Hold on, Big Z. I think that's too much information. Did you say you took your sandwich into the bathroom and finished doing your business? Is that what you're telling them, good old boys? Wait, no, hold on. I think you're trying to get off the hook. The next time you good old boys go to Big C's barbecue, just understand he has a sign that says, please wash your hands. But here he is taking his food into the bathroom, okay, Big C? Now we know we need to wash more than our hands next time we sit down for the moonshine barbecue, Big C. Your thoughts?
Yeah. last
Yeah.
night when Machado hit that home run, I mean, it was a moonlight.
Yeah.
Because to clear the green monster, go out into the parking lot. I think it might have ended up over at TD Center.
Yeah.
Where the Celtics went at home last night.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is what baseball is about. This is old-time baseball. These are people challenging each other, Charleston. It's the purest of the game.
Yeah.
And that's what we saw last night. The series got off to a rocky start with maybe a little bit too much emotion, but it has settled down to just pure baseball. And when you look at what the Orioles and the Red Sox are doing, this reminds you of going back into the 70s when you were Scripsky and Rice and Lynn were in the outfield for the Red Sox.
Man, how do you know what happened in the 70s? Do you Google that fast? You go from Boston over the Green Mile to some good old boy back in the 70s, Big C? Yeah.
And he had this storied ball club back there.
Yeah.
You know, Gibson, you know, I mean, this is when baseball was baseball.
Yeah.
Before everybody came, and I got to be on the highlight reel.
Yeah.
Because they went out and played. And that's what you've seen a little bit of in the last two games, is that we're out here playing baseball, old-time baseball. It would be nice that Major League Baseball would reach out more to the African-American community.
Yeah.
Invest a few dollars to
Yeah.
get those people back in the stands and those players back on the field, Charlton.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things that we don't have from those 70s series when we talked about Gibson, the great pitcher from St. Louis.
Yeah.
You know, being the most dominant pitcher in baseball, an African-American. We have that in David Price who plays in Boston.
Yeah.
Who can hurl, but, you know, he's overshadowed because he's one of the few African-Americans that are in the game on the mound, Charlton.
Well, Big C, that's a very good point. And I do like the energy that he plays the game book. A lot like a Russell Westbrook, you know, in a baseball uniform. I also want to go back into the NBA a little bit because we have the San Antonio Spurs and the Rockets. This series tied at 1 apiece. What happened to James Harden in Game 2 when he was so dominant, Big C, in Game 1? Is it because he's not trying to battle for the MVP? Thoughts or your thoughts? Did he just revert back to the Matador James Harden, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, you know, we've seen this over James Harden's NBA career in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Well, he has a tendency to disappear. I mean, this is nothing new. I mean, that first series against Westbrook, I think it was a lot more emotion
Yeah.
than it was just James Harden. A lot of people forget that James Harden just a few years ago was part of that Oklahoma City game.
Yeah.
And left in free agency because in the last minute they couldn't get a contract down over $2 million. It was a $2 million difference, so he said, I'll leave.
Yeah.
You know, because the owner didn't want to give me that.
Hey, we've come a long way. We've come a long way when if someone don't give you $2 million extra dollars, you're gonna leave. Isn't that good living, Big C? That's funny.
But, you know, this was a chance, I think, for him to drive a spike in Oklahoma City more so than just being the James Harden of old. But now that emotion is not there where he's playing Oklahoma City, Charlton. So
Yeah.
he's just being the James Harden of old. He has nothing personal
Yeah.
to play against, you know. And so he rolled back into that same James Harden in Game 2 against San Antonio. But Kawhi Leonard at times, I mean, when San Antonio can get some help,
Yeah.
Patty Mills did a tremendous job on defense against Harden.
Out of St. Mary's College, yeah.
Mills being undersized.
Yeah.
But he played hard and took the ball from him on a few occasions along with Leonard.
Well,
But, you know, James Harden has to wake up tonight. If he has one of those stagnant games again,
yeah.
San Antonio will win this series.
Well, I think.
Without, you know, Parker.
Yeah, and I think what happened with James Harden last night is he realized that Cutler could be asleep in an NFL uniform and still get a job on sports. And so he's auditioning for his next TV job. Just fall asleep in a uniform and some network will hire you. But James Harden, that's for white guys. That's not for the black guys. You got to stay awake when you're playing the game. Keep what they call keep your head on the swivel. And that's back across the land of the great hockey in the pursuit of Lord Stanley's Cup, Big C. You have them good old boys from Canada. Oh, Canada. Edmonton's at Anaheim. They're tied at 2 in the Western Series, chasing Lord Stanley's Cup. Your thoughts on them good old boys on ice, Big C?
Well, you know, we saw the controversy in Edmonton when the mayor, you know, took a couple of baskets.
Yeah.
That the guys deserve the most of the play.
Is that crazy?
And the mayor is a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you have competitive series, and you know, Edmonton, we know of their lower
Yeah.
Grand Fury in the net, Charlton. And Anaheim has come along, and they've won one in the past decade. But, you know, this is what you need. You need a team from Canada in the Stanley Cup chase, Charlton, because hockey is better when Canada's represented.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm pulling for Edmonton in this series, Charlton. They have the new arena there, the Rogers Arena.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous.
But the NHL needs a Canadian team in the Stanley Cup. I'm not knocking the American teams, Charlton.
Yeah.
But just for us a fanfare up north, where hockey is the lifeblood.
Yeah.
You know, it's like having the Super Bowl without an American team in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just doesn't seem like the Super Bowl. And even when the Blue Jays were in the World Series,
Yeah.
it did not get the lore that when you have two American teams in there, Charlton.
Yeah.
It's like having two Midwestern teams without an East Coast and West Coast team. We need a Canadian team in the Stanley Cup.
It's almost like having a president that never ran for public office, Big C. He just had enough money, and some dumb guys thought he's going to make them rich, too. The same kind of thing. It just doesn't make a lot of sense, but sometimes it happens. I just want to touch on, a few more things because it's very important. Today's Cinco de Mayo, and I know a lot of you good boys are going to go out and you're going to party up and get liquored up. I just hope that we keep people safe. If you're going to drink, please don't drive. You can Uber. You can ask a friend to give you a ride. But let's please get through the weekend and make sure you good boys have a good time. But please, no drinking and driving. I know that some people don't care. But for those of you who care, don't let your friend drive drunk. Let's just keep everybody safe. Now, Big C, I want to ask you a question because I was talking to some good old boys last night over at the old Coliseum, Oracle Arena in Oakland, and them good old boys were up on the Jazz, I think by about 20 points at some point in the game. And you know how big, I got some friends down in Las Vegas that they always text my phone every time the point changes in the game. They text me anyway. So I thought I was going to have that debt paid off last night because I thought they would cover the point spread, which was just 12. Now, Draymond Green, they were up by, I think, 13 points, Big C, with about 5 seconds left. And your friend Draymond, he fouled somebody at half court. And why would he foul somebody at half court up by 13, Big C? And them good old boys from Las Vegas, they kept texting me, can you give me the thoughts on why you foul someone when you're up by 13 with 5 seconds to play, Big C? Your thoughts? Yeah. Yeah.
Ironically, they read the paper before the game, sitting in the locker room, and know what the score is.
Yeah.
It is very important. It's like coaches in the NFL when you kick a field goal and you say, why did he kick that field goal? They say, well,
Yeah. 5 seconds, but 5 seconds left, Big C.
we see that all the time, Jonathan.
Yeah.
You give up a meaningless goal in hockey and let a team cover a point spread. So, we know how imperative that gambling is involved in sport today, and I'm not saying that the fix was on in the game.
I'm saying they kept texting my phone from Vegas. I don't care what you call it, but I still got. I'm glad I got free text, Big C. They was texting me that my debt's not paid yet, Big C. That's what I'm hearing.
It seems odd that you're going to make a foul with 5 seconds to go, and so often we see teams just freezing the ball, Jonathan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stand there with on the clock to run out. You going up committing an intentional foul?
Yeah.
To send it back to the line.
At half court. Yeah. Well, I'm sitting there by the media, and I'm sitting there saying, okay, I was all happy. You know how when Christmas comes and you see your present under the tree, but you don't know what's inside. Well, I know what my present was. They were going to say, okay, your debt's cleared up. And that was like 8 seconds left in the game. I'm all happy. And then good old boy fouls at the half court with 5 seconds left, and my phone blew up from my friends in Las Vegas that wanted to remind me, right? So hopefully Draymond Green, I'm kind of understand why he was tossed out of the game by the NBA last year, Big C. There's a lot of things that go on that the public doesn't want to know about, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, ironic, Jonathan, when you look at this, and we've seen too many players and officials over the years that had this happen to them.
Yeah.
But, in this incident, like I said, I question it. Why would your mind? He's done a lot of questionable things in his young NBA career, some questionable fouls and technicals that he's taken. But, this move last night, where normally you just let a clock run out, you don't challenge the player.
5 seconds.
There was a lot of questions and red flags that went up behind that.
Yeah, and that's always something. But Big C, I want to get your thoughts too. You brought it up. you know, the coaching right now, and I hope that Steve Kerr is going to be okay. I believe he's going in for another procedure. Don't know what's going on, but, you know, we are pulling for Coach. And, you know, our health is very important, and that's going back to the Trump care now. That's going to leave a lot of millions of people uninsured, Big C, and they're just too dumb to know any better, okay? But at the same time, Coach Kerr can get the best health care that money can buy because he's rich. But for a lot of good old boys that don't have that kind of money, they're going to find out if the Senate is dumb enough and afraid of whatever Donald Trump has on them, that they pass his version of Trump care. A lot of them good old boys that voted for him and taking away these tax incentives for, you know, he's going to lower the tax rate for a lot of the wealthy billionaires. Who's going to pay for the social services that many of them depend on, Big C? It's a bad thing. But I do want to get your thoughts on, I hope that Coach Kerr is going to get better. And then what you're looking forward to coming up this weekend on Cinco de Mayo outside of the good old boy Kentucky Derby, Big C. Yeah, isn't that a shame?
There's no proof that it has helped kids educationally. So this is what they're doing, you know, and these are all the people who voted for Trump saying give him a chance. You low-income people that have children and grandkids that are in school and voted for Trump.
Yeah.
He's going to take away those free meals that they were getting, that free breakfast,
yeah.
and free lunch.
Yeah.
So now when you were talking about living on the edge, think about it. Your kids now, you're going to have to find a way to come up with extra income. Oh, don't worry about it. Trump is creating jobs and higher wages in America, you know, for the lower and middle income people, so that their children can now can go to school and pay for their breakfast and pay for their lunch. But to have some millionaire saying that there's no proof that these free meals have benefited the hungry in America. Think about it. You're hungry, and you say that a meal does not benefit you. That is the most stupid statement that you can make, because a kid that is hungry wants to eat.
Yeah.
Whether it's educationally or not, he just wants to eat. He wants to have that bit of comfort.
Yeah.
And now that he can't eat, what is that going to do? But Charleston, as we look at Cinco de Mayo weekend, I know the Kentucky Derby's big, but also Cinco de Mayo has Donald Trump pissed off.
Yeah.
Because all the Mexicans are elected in Las Vegas this week.
Yep.
And Alvaro Canelo for Chavez Jr. fight.
Yeah.
Canelo, you know, Chavez Jr. fight for the title. You know, there's a million Mexicans right now in Las Vegas that he can't do anything about.
No.
And all of them come across the border legally, okay?
No.
A lot of them flew across on their jet.
They got planes too, right?
They got money. They got dinero.
Yeah.
Some bad hombres, as Trump would say down there, right? There's some legitimate hombres also.
Yeah.
Okay, but, you know, Vegas right now is bustling. And when you talk about Mexicans being murderers and rapists, right now they're the economic lifeblood this week of Las Vegas. That city that the Raiders are running away to.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But when you think about the economic impact that the Mexicans are having in Las Vegas this week, they're doing as much as you would have for a Super Bowl, Charleston, for a World Series game, for an NBA title game.
Yeah.
The money that they're infusing into that local economy, which is going to help build the Raiders stadium,
Yeah.
the hotel tax and gaming tax, that they're infusing Vegas with millions and millions of dollars this weekend, Johnson, because this fight is for the title of Mexico.
Yeah. And that's,
Between Canelo and Chavez Jr.
yeah, and,
So,
yeah.
when Donald Trump is talking about building a wall, ask Vegas if he wants him to build a wall where you're going to keep millions of dollars out every time that you have the Mexicans coming over fighting in Vegas for these landmark fights, Charleston, that they have, that you're going to take $40, $50 million out of Las Vegas because you want to build a wall to keep these wealthy, money-spending, law-abiding citizens
Yep.
and visitors from coming into America.
And Big C, that's a very good point. And I'm glad you brought that up because we just got to keep it real. That's what Big C Sports is for. If we're too tough on people, then change the channel to somebody else. If you want real talk, just follow Big C Sports. You don't have to wait for CNN, Big C. And I just want to bring this up, too, because I know too many people that are from Mexico that are fine people, a lot more decent than Donald Trump. They're not talking about grabbing women by the vagina and laughing about it like the white boys do and they get away with it, okay? This is something that offends me. Yeah.
I'll ask you this question. Okay?
Yeah.
When Donald Trump used to hold his cocaine parties back in New York, how many of his buddies raped women during those cocaine
Isn't that something? Isn't that something? It happens. It happens in fraternity. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And that's something that's so serious because I was talking to a woman I mentioned before who goes all around the country trying to say how to keep people safe, and they paint the same story you just told, Big C. A lot of these fraternities and sororities, they get these girls wasted, they get them drunk. I'm not saying that women don't have something to do with it. Don't drink if you're going to be around strangers. If you're going to do something, do it around just your friends, not at a big party where you don't know who you're dealing with, kind of like the good old boy down at Stanford. But as I mentioned to her, and she's Caucasian, her name was Alexis, I said, you need to get Donald Trump to endorse your program. And she was like, well, why? Because they paint it as if it's an issue of athletes, and most people in their mind, they think because athletes are black, it's easier to tell that story. But as I reminded her, as a Caucasian woman, she's more likely to be assaulted by someone who's white, just like Donald Trump does it, that same garbage. And for all the women, Kellyanne Conway and all these other knuckleheads that defend him, imagine when a man does it to you or your daughters, and you can't go to the president and ask him for help because he does it too. He tacitly consents to it. And we got to stop it, especially tonight being Cinco de Mayo. A lot of people are going to go out and get liquored up. And I'm just asking men, please don't take advantage of women, especially your women. Hang out in groups. Don't let your women be, your female friends be taken advantage of. Now, you're hearing two black men tell you about this more than you'll ever hear it on CNN or ESPN or Fox Sports. This is Big C Sports telling you how to keep your women safe no matter what color you are. Walk around in groups. Keep your cell phone on. Take pictures of people. You can even record conversations. If you feel threatened, you can at least have that for law enforcement. Big C, I'm so passionate about keeping women safe. We'll talk about it every single program. But as we close out the show, I know we talked about the NBA with the playoffs. We talked about the NHL with hockey, them good old boys up in old Canada. You know, we talked about the Kentucky Derby. They're following your lead. They're going to have all these muddy horses running around in the Kentucky Derby. Big C, like you running around in that muddy Escalade. Big C, I just want to get your thoughts the way you always do. What are you looking forward to mostly this weekend, Big C? Go right ahead, sir.
Well, Charlton, we're looking at some series coming to conclusion where they're going to get closed down to one game, Charlton. You got the NHL, you got the NBA. You know, I'm really curious. Can San Antonio keep the momentum going? You know, Utah has not laid 1 point in the series against Golden State. And like I said, you have to think that you can win a game in the series.
Yeah.
And you have Utah and Toronto thinking the same thing. We just have to be here for 4 games and get those bonus checks because they were both dug out in 4 games. But Charlton, you know, this is a point that we were at last year, that everybody was waiting on the finals. And will Cleveland and Golden State go through these first couple of rounds undefeated? Will they win them all in 4?
Yeah.
And will they get a chance to have a 4 or 5 day rest before the finals start? You know, this is what everybody wants to see. This is all anticlimactic right now. The playoffs are not really exciting. It's a way to get to the end.
Well, Big C, as you always say, we love the way you bring a show to a close. I'm just going to throw out some names for the Kentucky Derby. Don't know who's going to win, but looking at Lee, Thunder Snow, fast and accurate, untapped, always dreaming them good old boys. I didn't know Jay Cutler was in the Kentucky Derby. Big C, always dreaming. Oh, that's a racehorse guy. Okay, State of Honor, and then Given Hints, Iraq, Geneva, and Battle of Midway. All them good old boys. Hopefully somebody will run the Kentucky Derby and have a great time, even though it's muddy. Big C, I love what you bring to the show. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody, for following Big C Sports all over the world. And we're bringing it to you every Monday to Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the iHeartRadio network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. We always want to tell you there's never, ever, ever any reason for anyone to get away with sexual assault. If you see any woman in trouble or being grabbed by the crotch, just call 911. And as we always tell you for every program on Big C Sports, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.